Ask yourself, what does my marriage need today? Instead of asking, why aren't we like we used to be? You're never going to be how you used to be because the conditions are no longer the same and they never will be. You are now parents. And no matter how old your kids are going to need you. So instead of looking back, missing out on what used to be, I want you to start looking at what is, being more present to what's going on and wondering, okay, what does my marriage need today? Every phase needs different skills, different level of support and nurturing, and that's what gets you to growth.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. So as you know, this show's all about supporting your marriage as you navigate motherhood, parenthood, if you're a guy listening. And today we're going to be talking about the different phases that your marriage will go through as you navigate parenthood, because I'm sure you feel it, right? The kids out, you're taking care of them, and you've noticed a shift. Your marriage has changed. It's no longer that happy-go-lucky kind of carefree, all the time in the world, giddy kind of love. Now you've got kids and the responsibilities have exponentially grown. And what used to be a really fun time together with you and your spouse is now stressful. You guys are trying to figure out logistics and how to raise your kids and taking care of them and taking care of the house. And then you've got your job and all of these things to do. And you find yourself having less time, less energy to invest in the relationship. So you have more arguments and you aren't feeling as connected. And maybe you're even wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, right? So we're going to be talking about the very, very normal phases that every marriage goes through once they have kids and what each phase needs for you to continue nurturing your marriage, okay? But just because these phases are normal, it doesn't mean that you have to go through these phases and just feel stuck, right? You don't have to feel stuck in wondering, is this it for my marriage? Was getting married the peak of our relationship, right? The answer is no. And there are things that you can do to help yourself get out of these phases, because the reality is parenting puts a lot of pressure, it puts a lot of stress on the marriage. And in order for your marriage to succeed, you've got to keep a pulse on how your marriage is doing. So keeping a pulse includes being aware of what phase are we in right now? What does our marriage need because we're in this phase? How can we get out of this phase and move through it? And it's not linear. Sometimes we slip back into a phase, even if we feel like we've conquered it, like we feel like we've up-leveled, because kids. And so building your awareness of what phase are we in and knowing what each phase requires for your marriage to make it out of it is going to be so key to the growth of your marriage, for your future of your marriage to actually come to fruition. Okay. So firstly, I want to talk about how normal these things are, right? I'm sure you've kind of gotten the hint of that as you talk about it with your girlfriends and your family members. You're realizing, wow, we have a very universal experience whenever we have kids, right? And I want to normalize it because I don't want you to panic thinking that, shit, our marriage is over now that we have kids. It's just never going to get better than this until they move out, if we make it that far. Okay. So I don't want you to panic thinking that something's wrong, thinking that something's broken. It's not. right? At the very most, maybe you just need some more skills to build a stronger foundation for your marriage. And then utilize those skills and practice it and keep using them to hone your strength as a couple. Okay. But the reality is, marriage is a very much a living, breathing thing that is meant to change you. Just like how becoming a parent has changed you, it's like this pressure cooker that facilitates all of this growth. And the way we approach it, the way we handle it, really dictates how we'll come out of the situation. So, yeah, you're going to go through these phases in marriage. And with each phase, there's an opportunity for you to grow as an individual, and there's an opportunity for you to grow as a couple. Okay. So, as life gets more complicated and you strengthen your marriage, you're able to tackle those challenges together with more ease. And with each challenge, you get closer together. Partnership strengthens, your connection strengthens, your trust strengthens, everything just gets better. Okay. So your marriage can get better after kids. We just need to know what to focus on, and we need to keep practicing it. Consistency and continuously investing into the relationship with time, with energy. And then if you're at the point where you need to up level your skills, then working with a professional, working with a marriage coach like me. So let's first understand, what are the phases so you can identify which phase am I in? And then next, ask yourself, what does my marriage need today? Instead of asking yourself a question that sets you up for disappointment and failure, which is, why aren't we like we used to be? You're never going to be how you used to be, because the conditions of your life are no longer the same, and they never will be. Right? You are now parents, and that is a constant. No matter how old your kids are going to need you. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have worries. So instead of looking back, missing out on what used to be, I want you to start looking at what is, being more present to what's going on, and wondering, okay, what does my marriage need today? Adaptability is required for your marriage to continue to grow, to get better. And that's how we step up to each season and meet it where it's at and give it what it needs. Every phase needs different skills, different level of support and nurturing, and that's what gets you to growth. Okay. So here are the normal phases of marriage. You've got the newlywed phase, right? Where everything feels exciting. Your relationship is truly front and center of your lives. And there's a lot of emotional connection, a lot of physical connection, low stress, low responsibility, because most couples don't have kids at this point. I was not one of those. I already had a stepson. And so I have a little bit of a different experience when it comes to that. Our relationship was very much fast-tracked, where it forced us to think of our values and how we wanted to raise kids and all of these questions that we normally wouldn't have answered or even thought of until we came to that point, right? But for most couples, when you first get married, you don't have kids. You are able to focus on the two of you. And so you likely have an aligned vision, even if you haven't even talked about it, right? You kind of just know you're headed in the same direction, and everything feels pretty easy and fun and light. So the only thing that you really need to continue this is continue being a couple and watching out for those moments that maybe you're avoiding a hard conversation just to keep the peace, because everything feels so easy. You don't want to rock the boat. You want to keep things feeling good and light. And so at this stage, what your marriage needs is very little. It's just in speaking up about grievances before they become a bigger thing and you end up blowing up and having a big argument. Make sure you're bringing things up before they get big so that you can resolve it without all that heavy emotion and getting into those pitfalls of the back and forth arguing. Okay. So healthy communication and honing that is a great skill at this stage of your marriage. The next stage is really settling in, right? You're starting to build a life together. Maybe you've bought a home. Maybe you're planning your finances, navigating what is going on with your careers, and you start to notice a difference in communication and expectations and values. Maybe you're talking about having kids, right? So the conversation and the topics and the standards start to become more serious. You're paying attention to how you do life together. You're paying attention to how your spouse is doing life. And you're like, how is this going to work in the grand scheme of things when we have kids? Is that going to still work for us, right? And so as a result, conflict may start to increase, and conversations about how you guys were brought up and assumptions that you are making and the way you think that life should work based on your past starts to surface. So this is where couples start to notice, oh, maybe love isn't enough, and we actually need the skills to make it. We need to learn how to communicate in a better way. We need to become more self-aware and reflect more on, our triggers and what we are truly wanting out of this life together, and being able to share that vision and work together as partners better. The next stage is the early parenthood phase, where it's like, oh my gosh, what did we just do, right? Life has been turned upside down. Your life now centers around your baby instead of your marriage. And your physical and emotional capacity has been depleted. So you're both so exhausted. You don't have the capacity for anything else but to survive. And one partner tends to become the default parent and the home manager. And so with the low sleep, the low patience, and the exponentially increased responsibility, the low connection, the low intimacy, and the challenged communication, your relationship starts to feel harder. And the identity shifts that you guys are both encountering and experiencing start to hit you guys. And so as a result, resentment can grow. Your needs start to feel unsupported maybe, and maybe you start to feel like things aren't balanced as you expected it to be. And you start to turn away from connection because you're just so tired, and you also feel unsupported. And so what you guys need at this point, again, healthy communication, being self-aware, but also knowing little ways to prioritize your relationship still, so that at the minimum, you still feel connected as partners, so that you can make it through these sleepless nights and trying to figure out, how does this life work with this new baby? And how do we do this? They don't come with a manual. And so you're desperately trying to trial and error your way into making this new life work. The next stage is parenting multiple kids, if you choose to have more than one child, right? Then life becomes about logistics, the division of labor, the mental load, right? Your life is full. You've got work, you've got school activities, you've got the house, you've also got your marriage. And so while you're running the house together, there's very little time for you to connect unless you do it intentionally. And it really requires being intentional. And also maybe even seeking out support from outside the home, whether it's family or a trusted childcare provider. And at this point, you guys are really just trying to make things run smoothly. Your old patterns might resurface whenever you're stressed out, whenever you're tired. And so those more triggered parts of you will show up, whether it's being more critical or being avoidant or being really aggressive in your marriage with your spouse when you're short with them and irritable. That's all going to surface. And then maybe one partner may carry more of the mental load than the other, and then start to feel like the marriage is more of a roommate situation rather than a true partnership. So at this stage, what the marriage truly needs is being intentional about regularly connecting, so that you always have something holding you two together as a team, so that you know that you guys have each other's backs. You guys are always supporting each other. When that thread of connection dissipates, it's very seeing each other as the enemy, as someone that is the other rather than the collective. And at that point, when that's what's going on, it's really easy to point the finger and blame instead of giving the person the benefit of the doubt and, offering compassion when things don't go as well. There's also a need for looking at roles and responsibilities and how that's balanced and how you two choose to do life. What's a yes? What's a no? What can we handle? What can't we handle? And that constantly needs to be assessed and reassessed according to what's going on with your family life, and also support to stay emotionally connected. How often are you checking in with each other? How often are you making sure that you two have time together, uninterrupted time together, to stay connected as a couple? Okay. And then last but not least, there's the recalibration phase where you've gotten to the point where, like, I don't know how we got here, but I don't like the direction that we're headed. And we need to just call a timeout and reflect and do the repair work and redefine what this marriage looks like and how we want it to work and what we each need. So truly assessing, is this working for us or is it not? And of the things that aren't working for us, what do we need to shift, right? So at this stage, you could likely feel burned out. You're definitely feeling disconnected. Maybe you're arguing a lot more and you're having this aha moment where you realize something needs to change. Otherwise, we're going to head straight to divorce, or we're going to stay married just for the kids and be miserable and model an unhealthy relationship to our kids and also be miserable ourselves. Okay, so at this time, a lot of couples are asking, how do we find our way back to each other? What do we need to do? We know that these things aren't working, communication isn't working, we're not feeling connected, maybe we're even avoiding each other and we're not really making an effort to connect. So then it's time to rebuild, right? Not just fixing the old version of your marriage, but truly building a new one that fits your current lifestyle, your current desires and vision for your life, and being honest about what is flexible in your marriage and what isn't flexible, what's flexible in your life and what's not flexible. So at this point, what you're truly needing is tools, the skills to navigate these challenges, like healthy communication, like knowing how to prioritize your marriage amidst life happening, and knowing how to navigate all of these challenges together while staying on the same team, and how to connect. Okay, so truly prioritizing commitment and growth over blame. So coaching is a great way to get through. If you're at the point where we've tried everything we can and it's just not enough, it's not working, we need more, then looking to work with a professional. When I work with my clients, we are constantly assessing what each partner needs and also what the marriage needs. And we work on that collectively, and I work with my clients individually. So at that point, we're building the skills, we're becoming more aware and doing a lot of reflection to understand what is it that you're wanting, what is it that you're needing, and learning how to put all of that together so that it supports the individual as well as the partnership, so that they can get to the point where they can have conversations without it turning into a full-blown argument. And they have a desire to connect with each other because they like each other again, right? The love was never lost, but the went away as things became harder. But bringing them back to that place where things feel light and easy and they feel like a team and they want to spend time together. So coaching is a great solution to help you rebuild something new, something that works for your relationship today, with kids, with life going on, and keep it fun and build your marriage up so that it is resilient against life's challenges. And you know that you have the skills to lean on to make it through those challenges and not wonder, is our marriage going to make it through this? So to sum this up, in every stage, every couple needs these key items to thrive. You've got to have healthy communication skills in a way that you can adapt to what's going on, because what worked when you were newlyweds isn't going to be enough when you're parents, right? So you've got to evolve the way that you communicate. And shared ownership. So sharing the responsibility of what it takes to do life together. Both people need to step up and understand and meet the needs of the lifestyle that you're trying to build together. So truly meeting the evolving needs of the relationship as parents, as roommates, as partners, as individuals. You also need to give space for both people to be human, right? Humans change, we grow, and we also make mistakes, and we also experience stress, and we've got things going on that we don't always share. And so compassion is a key component of this. And instead of making it a competition about who's doing more, you've got to start redirecting the conversation under the guise of it being about the collective rather than I did more of this, so you got to step up. It's less of the tit for tat kind of thing and more of a, okay, we have an issue. How are we going to navigate this together as a team? And lastly, supporting each other, supporting yourselves, and also knowing when to ask for support. It is so life-changing when you feel lost and you feel like you're struggling and you're drowning and someone throws out a lifeline for you. That's what coaching offers you. When you have someone to guide you through these hard seasons and they know where your blind spots are and they know what skill gaps you have in order for you to have a strong marriage, that can save you so much pain, time, and energy, right? Imagine having a magic wand and being like, okay, I'm done with this struggle bus. I want to get off, and just waving the magic wand and being like, oh, wow. Now we are at that chapter in our lives where we are able to communicate better. We are feeling so connected. We're having fun together. We're laughing. We're flirting. We are wanting to be physical with each other. And we actually feel like a couple. And we're also better partners in this whole parenting life. Like imagine being able to skip all of that mess that you're in right now and jump to that. That's what coaching can help you do. Okay. So every couple moves through these phases after they have kids. And if you're feeling disconnected or overwhelmed, it just means that your marriage needs something different. So try something different, right? And if you're not wanting to do this alone, which you don't have to, and you want support in creating a marriage that works in this season of life for you and sets you up for future seasons of life, I'm here for you. I have 2 things to offer you to help you get to that next step for your marriage. The first resource is the Marriage 360 assessment. This is a free tool that I offer, and in this tool, you will get to kind of see what areas of your marriage could use some love right now so that you have more clarity on what to do next, what to work on. And the second is, if you are ready to do this with support, book a free clarity call with me. On this call, we get to know each other. You get to share what your goals are for your marriage, what your challenges are that are keeping you from reaching that goal. And I can share with you how coaching can help you so that you can do this with support and you can do this much faster. From this episode, I want you to do 3 things. I want you to identify what phase you're in, do the 360 assessment to see what areas of your marriage needs more attention. And then 3, ask yourself, have we tried everything we can? And if the answer is yes, then book a clarity call with me so that we can chat about how coaching can support you. Okay. I look forward to hearing from you and supporting you. And as always, if you have any questions at all, send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to chat with you. And that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. Do those 3 things. That's your homework from me. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. If you love this show, please leave a rating and review. I would so appreciate it. That's what helps this show grow. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.